Hello, everyone. This is Jitesh. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Trundle Group of companies. Along with me, I have our procurement manager, Robin Verghese, who is responsible for overseeing the complete license procurement within Trundle for Atlassian and any other related products. So we are going to walk you through this decision-making process on Atlassian license procurement. Once I'm done with my session, we will have a Q&A opened up for you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to type it in the chat window as and when you get it. Robin will compile those questions and we can try our best to answer them for when we are getting to the Q&A. So let's begin. So you can see, right, this slide has got all the Atlassian products. Some of them are actually in the alpha and beta version, but if you count it, you've got 21 different products, which means Atlassian is in the forefront of innovation and product development. They started with Jira software. It was Jira back then, and then from there was a lot of evolution on Jira and Jira family itself, and there are different products that evolved out of that, and a lot of acquisitions and a lot of new developments. So what does that mean as a buyer? For me, I would say, since we kind of come across a lot of use cases from different customers, I would say that these options that are being provided kind of can create a little confusion to some of the audiences. So is buying Atlassian licenses difficult, right? So, well, I would say it is relative depending on whom you're asking, because some of you would be familiar with the buying process because you might be familiar with the product, you might be an engineer, and you might have the responsibility of procurement. But some of you would require support and guidance because you're from the procurement team and you have got no clue about the product usage or what the product does. So what would happen? You would reach out to different teams, and different teams would have different requirements. They would be asking for different products, add-ons, and you might reach out to your contacts outside, and all of them will give you different opinions, and that can lead to conflicts in terms of decision making. And also, within your organization, there may be some use cases, and those use cases would basically make you get to that decision making process, right? Besides all these other chaoses that you have to go through. So it's not everybody's situation. For example, if we have to buy license for someone, we won't feel that complicated because we know the process. And there would be many organizations who knows Atlassian in and out. So for them also, you would not run into these kind of situations. But majority of the companies that are actually scaling, growing, some folks who don't know how the overall ecosystem works, for those kind of companies, you would run into issues. So some of the typical typical reasoning behind your buying decision are listed out here, and this is not something which you guys are not familiar about, but I wanted to call out some of them and kind of do a little bit of briefing as we move along to the next slides. So when you are, as a procurement manager, when you're actually looking for buying, you would be looking to maximize the return on your investment. You would be looking to save costs wherever possible. So with Atlassian, you've got monthly subscription options, you've got annual subscriptions, and then you would also look into what kind of hosting you want. Do you want to go with data center? Do you want to go with cloud? You would have different requirements with respect to the add-ons and also the native capabilities that the product is offering. Some of you guys would have requirements where you're migrating over from a legacy application to Jira or Bitbucket or Confluence, whatever that might be. So, or some other applications that provide similar features like Atlassian on the service management platform, so on and so forth, right? So there will be various reasons why you are actually moving into Atlassian. Some might be looking at the payment plans or the cost of the product itself. And some might have certain risks that are related to regulatory requirements as the nature of your business as a company. It might be healthcare, government related projects, or whatever that category falls into. And you would also have certain requirements as an organization that you need to fulfill, and you might feel that, okay, we moving into Atlassian's ecosystem would help fulfill those needs. So these are some of the things that you would definitely go through when you're actually making that decision making process. So let's talk about the important dates that you need to know before we actually get into the next slide, which is basically February 15th, 2023 Pacific Standard Time. Atlassian is going to end sales on all add-ons for the server platform. Before I actually go to the next statement or next point here, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what is server and why is it that Atlassian ending that product or offering. So when Atlassian started, they had the server product, and it was basically a perpetual license. What that means is you buy the product and then you own the product. But then every year you actually pay Atlassian the renewal cost, which is based on the support, which is basically half of the product cost. That's how the server products used to be, sold within Atlassian's ecosystem. And eventually Atlassian introduced data center, edition along with the server products. And Atlassian felt that, data center is more robust and it is more scalable as opposed to the server products. So they decided to end it. And that announcement came in 2020. And they gave like a 4-year time frame for the users to opt into other products. And also Atlassian wanted to stabilize and move most of their user base into cloud, because cloud is the future. If you look at everything in IT, most of 90% of the products are offered as a SaaS product, and Atlassian wanted to also get into that model. And that is majorly the reason why they started investing on their cloud products. And as of now, I can say that it has matured in a very good way, and you can confidently step into that category of product usage. So that being said, end of support for server products are coming up in February 15th, 2024, which means if you guys have server licenses and you decide to not retain the support, which means you are kind of on your own, Atlassian will not be responsible for any downtime or any product defects whatsoever after 2024. So it's a huge risk that you're taking over. And my recommendation is not to get there. Get your requirements in order so that you can actually move over to one of the platforms that is most suitable for your business requirements. So let's check what those are, and then we can talk about them in detail. So as I mentioned, right, we Atlassian would be just having 2 different product offerings with different variants on the cloud, of course, but it will be generally called as data center and cloud options. So what is a data center as far as Atlassian products are concerned? It's the same, but a high-end configuration, setup within the server ecosystem with multi-node connectivity, which means you can actually still enjoy all the benefits that you had, that you used to enjoy within the server in infrastructure, but in a much more nicer way. And you can continue to host it at an infrastructure of your choice. In fact, you can host it in multiple data centers so that you have high availability on your instance. Your data management, security, and compliance will remain within your control. You would be responsible for the upgrades and deployments of your product suite that you're actually procuring from Atlassian. Atlassian would not have any responsibilities on that. You would be responsible on your uptime and performance because you are hosting it either in your data center or a data center publicly available that you are actually procuring the space from there. So why do companies choose this option? There are a few things that we have highlighted. There may be many more that we can talk about, but given the interest of time, let's just check on these three things, right? So complying with the regulatory standard that you don't see on cloud. For example, if there are healthcare customers where you would have PHI data, which you don't want to get onto the cloud for various reasons within the company, or basically whatever protocols that organization has. So they would have restrictions, and they would want that particular data to stay in a server which is within that company's control. So that is where they decide, like, okay, I cannot go on to data center. Let me stay on. Sorry, I cannot go on to cloud. Let me stay on data center. So, and then if you have a set infrastructure in place and you say that, okay, I have a system admin or I have infrastructure engineers, I'm anyways using my infrastructure for all my other applications, it's not going to be an extra cost. Let me just have Atlassian infrastructure also within my setup, or Atlassian software also within my infrastructure. That's there. And you want to actually maintain complete control on your software and deployment options. You want to do custom solutions that you can connect within your Atlassian infrastructure or Atlassian instance. For all these reasons, one can choose data center as opposed to cloud. So let's check out what are the benefits or what are the benefits that you have on cloud and what exactly we mean by cloud. So cloud is nothing but an Atlassian managed software where you are not responsible for any kind of maintenance. You're not responsible for the uptime. You're not responsible for security, compliance, or any of those criterias, because they are all being handled by Atlassian. So if something is there, going wrong with respect to security, it's not your responsibility, it's Atlassian. But they would actually have the standard security terms listed out on Atlassian's website. If you go to trust.atlassian.com, you would be able to find out all those details about the certifications, security parameters that they follow, and all the details around it. If you have any questions, you can also reach out to us. We will provide you with our contact information once we get towards the end of this discussion. Again, Atlassian is also striving towards that continuous improvement initiative. So all the innovations that they would be doing would basically be coming in first within the cloud infrastructure. So you can enjoy all those benefits within cloud before it flows into data center. So those are some of the major features that are there. Now, maintenance wise, like I mentioned, you don't have to maintain anything. Setup wise, it is pretty easy and fast when you want to kick off an instance live. But then you take a lot of time to configure things and customize that instance based on your requirements. But if you know it, you can do, it is relatively achievable within your organization's capabilities with respect to the Atlassian knowledge, right? If you have that, if you have an administrator or who knows Atlassian well, they would be able to configure that for you, at least to the basic requirements. Now, if anything goes wrong, your the SLAs are financially packed up, which mean what that means is Atlassian will actually give you some credit, for the downtime if anything happened. I know that's not going to kind of meet your losses that might have incurred during that downtime, but that can basically happen even when it is in your own instance. Downtimes are there. You never know what's going to go wrong, but Atlassian's SLAs, the uptime is pretty solid. It's 99.99%, and they are very confident about how they have optimized their systems. And customers basically choose cloud to reduce the total cost of ownership. We'll be talking about this in detail in the upcoming slides, which includes upgrades and maintenance. Also benefit from the real-time security updates, because if there is any kind of security vulnerabilities, Atlassian would be responsible to provide those patches and whatever maintenance has to be done to push through from or shield your instance from being being a victim of that security breach. Atlassian would be responsible for that. Access the data from any possible locations as long as you have internet, right? So being on cloud, that is one of the major benefits, that you can extend access to all your employees. And now, since we have got into the COVID situation and we're getting out of it, everybody prefers to have employees distributed. So some of them would be remotely working. Many companies have even gone 100% remote. So for those situations, it'll be best to stick to cloud. So now let's also do a comparison between data center and cloud, and I can actually talk a little more in detail about each of these segments that we have called out here. So if you look at the categories, the first is the product plan. And for data center, there's only one single plan, which is nothing but an annual subscription. You have to pay for, there's just one option that you have, and the entry level plan is 500 users. You don't have anything lower than that. On cloud, you have multiple plans. It starts from free all the way to enterprise. So free is 1 to 10 users on the standard edition. You would have some restrictions on the features, but it's pretty decent. So your organization, a small team in your organization can definitely try it, figure out how good it is, and then from there you can upgrade either to standard, premium or enterprise editions. And each of this has a ton of varied features. And within premium and enterprise, the major difference is that for enterprise, the entry barrier is 800 users, I believe. If you are actually 800 and above, and if you're opting for enterprise package, then you can have multiple instances under your domain, and you don't have to buy additional licenses for that. So you can actually provision the licenses based on the need on those sub instances, completely under your control. That is a very good option for bigger organizations where they want to spend multiple instances and not waste money on buying instances within the increments of the tiers that Atlassian offers. Now, looking at the billing and invoicing, as I mentioned earlier, you've got annual subscription only available for data center. And when it comes to cloud, you have got monthly as well as annual subscriptions. And some companies, it makes sense to go monthly because, for example, if you've got like around 55 or 60 users, you don't want to go to a 100 user tier because you would be paying more on that 100 user tier as opposed to staying on the monthly plan where you are actually paying for the actual number of users. And then eventually when your organization is maturing into a specific number that is closer towards the tier, then it makes total sense to upgrade into the annual subscription. But remember one thing, when you're upgrading, you only want to upgrade to the closest number that you require within the available tiers, because upgrade is possible during the term anytime. But if you want to downgrade, it can only be possible during your actual renewal. What that means is, like, for example, if your renewal is on December 1st, that is basically the original date in which you actually purchase the Atlassian licenses would be considered as your renewal date. And if you upgrade your users, let's say So December 2021 is when you procured your license, and then 2021 is when you procured your license, and in June 2022 you upgraded the license to premium, or let's say you upgraded the user count to a different next year. So what would happen is that upgrade will only get to your December 2023 timeframe, and that is when your actual renewal happens. At that point of time, you will have to make sure that if you want to downgrade, that is when you want to downgrade your license. So if you really don't know your usage, do not go and renew it for like 2 years, because you're wasting money. So that is pretty much on the tier and month to month or annual subscription. Now on the support, you've got priority support and premier support as far as data center products are concerned. And on the other hand, for cloud, you've got different support levels depending on the plan that you choose. But everything is, you have got support for everything. Now, like I mentioned previously, on the total cost of ownership, when you are looking at it from the lens of a procurement person, you don't just compare the cost of the licenses and then say, hey, data center is cheaper than cloud, let me just go ahead and buy them. You have to also look at the hidden cost that is there, which is the cost related to infrastructure, provisioning, fees for that infrastructure, and the downtimes that would come in, and the business impact during those downtimes, and the time and resource that is needed to maintain these softwares, like let's say upgrades, migration from one infrastructure to another, what not, right? All those things would come under your overall cost within the Atlassian framework of spend. And if you look at the other side on cloud, you are basically only spending money to pay your administrators, if you are having administrators on your payroll, or you are paying a partner to actually maintain it if you're doing it that way. So either ways, that's the only cost in addition to the licenses that you would need to be thinking of. One very critical announcement that I want to make here is, most of you guys might have got an email from Atlassian on September 13th or 14th stating that they're increasing the price for all Atlassian products, all Atlassian cloud products, basically, for both list and benefit customers, effective from October 18th, 2022, which means if you have any any buying decisions that you think is going to come up around November, December, January timeframe, or even February timeframe, I would say do not wait till then. Buy it now, because you would be able to save some money and try to maximize your renewal terms. Probably a 2-year renewal will be much efficient and sensible than going with a 1-year plan, because you would spend more. So this is one place where you can save some money. And the second thing is, customers who are on server and who are above 1,000 users or above, they have a solid loyalty discount program right now, which is actually coming into an end on October 17th, 2022. So anyways, you will have to move over to cloud. This is the time where you can go ahead and make that transition, buy the licenses, even if it takes 3 or 4 months for your decision and migration to happen. It's okay, because you'll still save money by moving on to cloud and availing that loyalty discount, because it's a significant amount that you would have as savings. If you don't do it right now, you're going to lose it, and then you'll pay a much more price, and you'll anyways move. So do that now, save that money, and trust me, it's going to be the right thing to do if you have already planned to move on to cloud. So now that you understand what is the difference between data center and cloud, what are the important factors that you require to decide on where you want to go, you're sort of ready that you have to migrate. Now, when you have to migrate, there are certain aspects that you need to consider. Please make a note of these, or provide this deck to your engineers who are actually responsible for this migration if you're doing it in-house. If you are working with a partner, please make sure that that partner is familiar with all these aspects and they really do it, right? So the first thing that one has to look in before you guys decide to migrate is a thorough analysis on your instance, which actually is on checking for your versions, size, statistics, and third-party tools. So third-party tools can be custom add-ons from the Atlassian marketplace or add-ons that someone else has built for your requirements, whatever that might be, or any other application to which your Atlassian, any other applications to which your Jira, Bitbucket, or any of these Atlassian products are plugged in and data is being pulled out. All of those are factors to be considered, because it might be working in a certain way in your organization right now, but when you actually move over to cloud, you might lose those functionalities. So it's very important to make sure that you understand what you are going to do and what is your use case. How are you going to make sure that you can retain all of it as you transition over to cloud? Second thing is you have to check the compatibility of the add-ons, which means list out all the add-ons you're currently using. Do look into the logs and find out how many people are actually using those add-ons. How many times have those users logged in within the last 1 year time frame, and make a report. Remove all the unwanted add-ons that you think is not necessary, you're unnecessarily spending on it, remove it. And then whatever are your final number of add-ons, check with the cloud, go to marketplace.atlassian.com, find out whether you have an equivalent version or variant of that on cloud. If you have it, awesome. If you don't have it, I'm sure there will be a ton of alternate options, or even there might be something natively available within the tools, because Atlassian's products have evolved a lot from what it was once upon a time. So figure that out before you actually make a decision. That is the alternate solutions on non-compatible configurations as well. So if you have got some custom configurations done for whatever it is, you should also look at the compatibility of that on the cloud. So making sure that what can be migrated, what cannot be migrated. If it cannot be migrated, what is going to be your business impact for that, and stuff like that. So basically, it's something which you should consider. Trust me, this will save a lot of time for you when you get into migrations. And migrations are never easy. Yeah, it's sometimes it'll happen smoothly, but if you get into a roadblock, that is when you will run into real issues and frustrations. So we do a lot of migrations, and we have a specific team that is actually performing that. So you need to make sure that you are aware of what you're getting into. And you should also factor in your growth expectations as to how is your growth roadmap that your company has, like your hiring, your expansion on your IT team. If you've acquired any companies, if you've got plans to acquire, all those have to be considered. Based on this, prepare a migration roadmap. Also, I wanted to add one more point. If you are doing a cloud migration, make sure that you're reaching out to Atlassian. Create a ticket that is basically required, because Atlassian, if you notify Atlassian, then Atlassian will work with you on the back end to make sure that the migration is happening smoothly for you. Or if there is any technical difficulties that you run into, since you don't have control on the cloud backend, you have to rely on Atlassian. If it is through a partner like us, we would be able to help with all that. You don't have to worry. We would take over all those discussions, but that has to happen. So make sure that you are creating a ticket for that, and making sure that you are actually focusing on channeling this properly. Now, that being said, you get the migration roadmap in place. For us, whenever we migrate, we do 3 UATs. 3 UATs. So the first one would have a lot of problems generally, and then we mitigate all those problems, and we let the users, that is the customers, do a thorough testing, and then we get to the second UAT. And on the second UAT, we would have less errors. We will figure out what those are, and then our goal is when you do the final UAT, there are no errors, right? Once that is all done is when we plan for the final cutover or production migration. And we always do production migrations during the weekend, so the users are not impacted. And And that's the process that we would advise you guys to follow. So make sure that this is all considered when you are actually getting into a migration to cloud. Now, let's see what is the next topic that we should be discussing, right? Okay, now you've migrated over, you are on cloud, but are your users comfortable? Are they able to withstand this change? Are they able to understand how the cloud instance is? What are the functions, features, and all that? So it's very important to make sure that you are providing them a user level training. And if your users are not happy, your migration is not successful. So provide them all the documentations, make sure that you're giving them the training so that they can use the product really well. And also, making sure that your admins know how to configure and manage the instance on that as far as the administration standpoint is concerned. Those are the things. And once you have stabilized in these two areas, then you can think about the best practices and refinement within your team and making the best out of your investment, right? Once you understand it, you can still think about getting rid of a lot of legacy applications, boundary applications, bringing all those use cases into the Atlassian framework so that you're not paying additionally for those products, but you're making use of the existing investment that you've already made within Atlassian. And trust me, a lot of companies do it, and you can save a lot of money, and it's much more efficient than having 200 different products out there to work with. So for all these things, if you don't have the expertise in-house, reach out to us or reach out to any partners that you are comfortable working with. There are a lot of Atlassian partners available globally, but go to the ones that actually has this expertise. Even within this event, you've got a lot of partners. Go to their booths, talk to them, figure out what has to be done, and then based on that, make a decision. But please don't keep it to the last minute, because if you do that, you are running into serious trouble, because time passes quickly, and sometimes migrations will take several months. So it's very important for you to make that decision now than repenting about it later. So now we are on the Q&A session. If you guys have any kind of questions, let's discuss about it. Robin, do you have any questions? Did you get any questions?
Yeah, we are just waiting. We didn't have any questions yet. Just
cool. If there are no questions, we can wrap it up, because we also did another session in the morning. There were several questions that we got from the audiences. We will get this recording out for others to watch and review. And let me also tell you guys what are the upcoming sessions that we have. So we would highly encourage you guys to visit our booth and set up a one-on-one if you guys have any questions today. If not, you can always write to procurement@trundle.com. We'll be happy to get in touch with you. We are very fast in terms of responses. We generally respond the same day. So write to us. You can go to trundle.com, fill up a form, write to us what your problems are or what you're seeking advice on, and we would definitely get onto a call and see if we can help you to do it on your own, or if you need us to get that sorted out. Now, we also have a lot of sessions coming up. I'm just reading out the sessions that we have after this. So please go to those booths, auditoriums, and make sure that you're joining some of these that you feel would be useful to them. After this event, you would have access to all these recordings for like 60 days. I think it's 60 days. So if you haven't attended some of the sessions that happened during our first day, or because of the bandwidth you didn't get to attend some of them in this today's sessions, do not worry. You will have all of them available for you to access. So make sure that you have your user ID and password available even after this event. So there is easiest way to implement SAFe in Jira by call. That's happening running an efficient program in increment planning using advanced roadmap by Jose. Visualize and track your work across multiple work streams and teams in Jira software by Evan. ITSM, do less work by Richard Johns and Steve. Server to cloud migrations, that's our team, Manohar and Nitish. This event or this session can definitely, complement the other one. So if you guys are actually thinking about migrating, and if you are attending this session, you would be able to very much relate on other things on the migration side. So please get in touch with Manohar or Nitish or attend that session. And we also have Vedant from Trundl actually talking about the integrations within Jira. So I hope you guys are having a good time with us today. I want to thank you all on behalf of Trundle and the team here for being a part of this event. It wouldn't be possible if you guys are not there. So thank you so much for making JiraCon such a successful event. And we would look forward to seeing you in the upcoming years as well. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your time with us here.